for my listeners here on 93.9 The Mountain, this is my friend, the infamous Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick. And
Wow.
yeah, man, I wanted to start off with that story about you at CBGB's. Is that really true? I mean,
Yeah. Well, I don't know which one are you talking about.
I'm talking about the one that me and Simmons talk about, Gene Simmons, folks, that when he first went to see you, he threw $100 bill on the stage or something. You picked it up and ate it or something. Is that one
It,
true?
I went over to his table and I picked up. I can't remember the 10 or a 20, but of
Right.
course Gene
It's probably
turned
a
it into 100.
five. You're right.
So yeah, I did eat it,
Oh my god.
and because I knew that would really irk the man that never. He's got moths fly out of his wallet.
Right, and he always has to have think he has one up on you, and so
Yeah.
yeah. So when you did that, I knew I expected it to be ridiculously cool from Gene's aspect of it, but
Well, let's put it. Okay, yeah, sure, it was 100, whatever.
right.
I know he'd never leave me alone if he thought I was chewing some of his money. So I it was a good introduction for me to see Gene.
That was awesome. Then you guys proceeded to be great friends and went on tour with Kiss. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's when you were rocking it like you were still probably one of the top three favorite bands for the free for me. I love you guys and I love your whole style, Rick. You know that. I mean, that I don't want to get too broish on here, but
Well, you can. It's your show.
right, I can actually, but we met in the days of old in Chicago when everything was the Wild West and there was no unsigned bands and then you guys broke out. I'll never forget it. And Jack Douglas did your first record and Oh Candy, one of my favorite songs, was on the record, Rick. And
Hmm.
remember, and then you came to Turner Hall, that little place in Quincy, Illinois, where I was living, and played there. And we actually went into the studio and we did some kind of songs together. Do you remember those days? Do you remember that,
Uh,
man?
it's your show. Yeah, of course, Mickey.
Of course, of course. I think we called it.
I remember being in Quincy because I knew your drummer,
Yes, Dennis Teakin, his brother.
Dennis Teagan, and then
Yeah.
his brother. Yeah, because he was an agent or something like
Yes,
that.
yes, he was actually the agent for me in the band Smokehouse. But
Yeah.
yeah, and you guys rolled through, burned it down, and we hung out a little bit. But I don't think some of the and me even doing my intensive research on you because I wanted to speak to you today. I didn't know you replaced Todd Rundgren in the Nas and the
Yeah.
early. Oh my God, because I love Todd Rundgren. I never knew that.
I didn't replace him. The Nas broke up. I met Todd in England
Hmm.
at the Marquee Club. He was with Miss Christina, the GTOs, and I was there.
Oh wow, dude.
I was there with my bride. I just got married, and we sat in the front row together to go to see Yes when it was Tony Banks was the guitar player,
Jesus.
and yeah, it was like, and I got his phone number. He gave me his phone number because he was living with a guy named Paul Fishkin.
Jeez.
And
That's
and I said, oh, man, I really love the Nas. And I knew the Nas had broken up because I followed them back
right.
in the
Yeah.
day. And he says, well, Tom Mooney lives in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and Carson Van Ossen, he's a he does cartoons. He's
Hmm.
an
Hmm.
illustrator for Walt Disney, and he says, whatever you do, don't call Stooky. And so that's the first guy I called.
Tell me just a quick little bit. I don't want to keep you that long forever, but there's just too much I have to ask you. John Lennon.
Well, maybe we could just do a weekly special.
I love you. I love you.
One,
I love
one,
it, man. And we need sponsors, and we need Gene to be the ultimate sponsor, digging deep in those
really?
pockets. That would never
Uh,
happen, and you know it.
Maybe I'll cash that 100 he gave me.
Right, if you could find it. But recording with John Lennon, come on, and on the Double Fantasy record, was that like just for you? I mean, for me, it would be like if I actually got to record with Jimi Hendrix. I mean, because that and I mean, I jam a lot with Carlos Santana these days, but to play with Jimmy would be like whoa. But you got to do your thing with John Lennon for the Double
Hmm.
Fantasy record, Rick. Was that like a dream come true, or
The
how were you
only
feeling? You know?
the only thing the only thing better was be hanging with you in Quincy, Illinois.
Yeah, right. But I love it. I love it.
I don't know. It's like, yeah, it was the ultimate. the ultimate.
What could you say? I mean, like,
Well, it was the day that my son Dax was born, and I got a hall pass to not be be at the hospital because I was working with John Lennon. It's like it was a big secret, supposedly. Not that my wife, not that she was having a baby, but we had gotten a call from Jack Douglas, and John Lennon was coming back to record.
Wow.
He hadn't recorded in years, and they wanted some edge to the thing. It was Earl Slick was the guitar player that he was
Love
using.
Earl. Right.
Yeah, he was using him, but they said that they wanted more edge, and so they got Bunny for drums, and they got me, and we didn't sound so much like. If you listen to Double Fantasy, if you hear our version and you hear the final version that they used, their sounds to me, they sound like studio guys. Where I don't sound like any studio you want to be. I can't do the same lick twice.
Right. I mean, well, you have your own sound. There's no doubt about it. That makes you who you are, man, and what you do. So
it was amazing. It was the ultimate musician I would have played with, and it wasn't like like I'm I call him John, and I was taking after that session I gave him one of my guitars, and
wow.
and then I got that back 3 years after he was murdered, and I had a guitar made for him, and I was going to take him guitar shopping because I said, "You're John Lennon." I said, everybody tells him, yes, John, sure, whatever. It's like,
right.
It's like talking to Steven Tyler. Nobody tells him no except me. the guys in the band, if they have a question, they're afraid to ask him. I said, hell, I'll tell him. I'm not afraid.
Well,
he can't fire me.
What's he gonna do to you, right? He can't fire you.
So so we become friends because I actually tell him the truth, Steven or anybody. But with John, I said, we got to get you some guitar. You're John Lennon. You shouldn't be playing a Valeno guitar like Mark Farner and
right
and Mark Bolan play. You don't need that. So I wanted to take him to some actual guitar shopping.